Welcome to the Not Just Ad Show, where B2B brands discover how creator-led content drives pipeline, builds trust, and grows long-term brand equity. Each episode, we speak with business leaders, founders, and creators who are defining their categories. I'm your host, Marcus Sherwin, and this is the creator economy for B2B. Hello, and welcome to the episode of Not Just Ads, where we speak to B2B creators, founders, and marketers in the B2B creator space. Today, I'm joined by Andre Teow. Andre, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to have me here.
Great to have you. So, Andre, you've a fairly seasoned background. You've led a search fund in Southeast Asia, and more recently, you've launched a AI startup which can bring concept to market within 21 days. Could you just share a little bit more about like the transition from search fund into your role now as a founder in AI of an AI startup and how all that came about?
Sure. So let me just bring you back before the search fund even. So previously, about 3 years ago, one of the company which I was working on, this one here called Tiki, which was an Indian version of TikTok. So this was a company that I founded together with my partners. It got acquired by a larger media conglomerate. So because of that, I came back here to Malaysia and was figuring out what next to work on. So I thought, hey, it would be interesting being on the investor side of things, having been on the operator side for the last decade or so. And of course, we saw a gap in the market whereby a lot of potential M&A activities could be happening, especially around legacy businesses. Unlike US or even Europe, a lot of businesses in Asia are in fact run families. And we have had cases where it's the original founder has retired or that their children did not want to continue on their business and they thought, hey, what if I just sell this company? What if I could cash out? So there's an opportunity there to tap into legacy companies with succession issues. So from Search Fund, that was operating more as a traditional PE, so to say. But my interest has always been in technology and showing the magic of technology. And that's how I went deep into AI. Now for AI here, there are two concurrent projects which I'm running. The first one is Bluebolt Labs. So Bluebolt Labs is our MVP product studio. And what we do here is that we would turn a conceptual idea into a working MVP. All right. I want to prove that, in this day and age, there is no need for you to even create any full scale product. Creating something quickly as a proof of concept, get your first 100 customers in, get your first $1,000 coming in. If it works, great. You push full scale. But if it doesn't, you fold it and then you work on a new project once more. Being in the AI space, it's really all about speed rather than on perfection. Second project, which I run concurrently, this is a non-commercial project. I run a community called Build with AI. Now, Build with AI is specifically targeted towards non-technical founders and non-technical individuals who have always had these ideas of things in your brain that they want to make a reality, but they may not have the right type of support system or they may not have the network or community around it. So I thought, why not start a community that brings together all of these people, all of these idea people, so to say, and get them to actually build something and to ship it out.
So in terms of the first company that you launched, can you give us a feel for in terms of users and like the segment that you were looking at in the region that you were in?
Right. So the first company, which one were you referring to?
So the company that you mentioned that got acquired when you moved.
Okay. Cool. So this company here is called Tiki, and it was launched in 2021. At the time, we saw a gap in the market because India has just banned TikTok, and India just happens to be the second largest market for TikTok, right after the US. So we thought, hey, there's a gap in the market. Why not we start up something over there? So that's what we did. Me and the two partners, we started up a very raw version of a TikTok clone. And within 2 months, the whole app went viral. So we thought, hey, there is some form of opportunity over there. So we raised subsequent funding. And of course, at our peak, we have about 13 million monthly active users. So it was growing huge. It was exploding. And about 3 years later, the company itself got acquired by a larger media conglomerate who also wanted exposure into the Indian market over there. So it was quite an experience working on a product where you're neither a user and operator or even investor over there. So I figured out that, hey, one of the best ways to actually running a startup is to be on the ground itself. So we relocated over to India, spent some time there talking to real users, holding events, and really interacting with my community. I would say my time at Tiki was probably the time where I learned that people may come over for the content, people may come over for the creator, but what they really stay for is that they stay for the community.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. That's explosive growth, like in a short space of time. What were the things that was it that you were kind of like part of a wave? Do you think, or what were the things that you think that contributed to that explosive growth?
Right. So I would summarize it as 3 factors. The first one was that there is a clear gap in the market at that point, right? When TikTok got banned by the government, there was suddenly a pool of about 100 million creators with no other platform to go to. Basically, within that first 2 months after the ban kicked in, of new platform launch into the market, whether it's homegrown platform or even international platforms like Instagram Reels, even YouTube Short, they doubled down on that market over there. So it was a huge gap over there. That was the first driving force. The second driving force would be the cultural demographics of India itself. So as you know, India is the world's largest entertainment market. If you ask any kid over there, what do you want to be when you grow up? Some may say, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or an astronaut, but the majority of them being that I want to be a Bollywood star. I want to be a singer. I want to be an entertainer. Second to that would be, I want to be a star cricket player. Right? So that's just the whole cultural demographics of that itself. And the third one, I would say, is that we simply just hit product market fit. We found a niche. We found a niche that other people struggle to fill in. We started off with creators first. Our whole goal is not to create another content platform. Our goal there was to create a community platform where people come over, they get connected with the creators, they build a relationship with them, and in turn, our retention rate was the highest in the industry.
Yeah. So on the point of community, then this kind of like what you're doing now as well with AI and kind of like the builder community. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Cool. This AI community was started about 4 months ago, and how it started off was quite simple. So that time I was introduced to creating products with AI, so vibe coding, so to say. It was a term coined by Andrei Shkaparsky, which is the former engineer of OpenAI. Like, you could just create a program by telling an AI what you want it to be like. So started exploring that. And I happened to chance upon a couple of other people who have the same thinking as well. It's like, hey, why not we come together and kind of just co-learn together? That at the time, there were just about 6 of us, and we kind of just shared learnings all about. We shared the projects that we're doing and so on. And then, of course, we started talking to more people about that. I would say would be the impact of learning in public, or even say building public, whatever that you're doing. The more people you tell others about, the more that they'll relate. Be like, hey, me too. I'm also working on this. Could I join your community? And of course, from there, it started growing. Right now, the community is about 18 members strong. It's a curated community. And of course, we've got about 150 people on our wait list that we personally screen every single person that comes through as well. We realize, right, the biggest strength about a community is not necessarily me or even my other co-facilitators' leadership. It's not even about the content or new tech news that's being shared, but it's really about the interactions or the new projects or new value that gave birth, because people in the community start talking to other people there and be like, hey, let's work on this thing together there. So that would be the biggest value of community.
Yeah, definitely. Can you give us a feel for, in terms of like any projects that they've ran that have kind of like got traction in the market, or anything that's out in the public domain?
Right. Wow. There's so many of them. I sometimes just lost track of it. So one of them thing that they did. So a lot of these projects here, many of them are kind of just hobbyist projects right now. But basically, one of them built an inventory management system. This is mainly for their own stationary retail store, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it replaces the whole manual process of using your Excel sheet where you
Yeah.
upload your delivery orders, your invoices, you type in one by one. Basically, an app was created whereby you simply just scan your documents and all of your data would be out there on your dashboard already. It tells you when your stocks are low or when you need to reorder inventory and stuff all once again, right? This app was created by someone without any technical knowledge whatsoever, and they pretty much just vibe coded it, so to say. Another one is a fun project, but this one here built a pickleball score tracker. And
Popular sport.
what this is, you simply just put in your team or your players, and what it does is that it will automatically assign which rounds you're playing, keep track of scores, which quarter you're playing, and so on. Yeah. What other projects are there? There's this expense management app that interacts entirely on WhatsApp. So you don't even have to open up any sort of web interface or anything like that at all. And to me, I would say that is the reason why we started off this community. It's really to get more people exposed to building with AI and, of course, for them to actually launch projects together.
Yeah. Yeah. No, really interesting. With those products that they've launched then, are they coming from a background like that they see a need for these kind of things? Or is it more like an idea and see if it gets traction in the market? Or like what's the kind of profile of the builders in the community?
Right. Our community here, or the Build with AI community, we target specifically on non-technical founders. Because if you look at AI communities all across the world, there are plenty of AI communities for developers, for engineers, and so on. But let's say if you don't have any coding knowledge, if you don't come from a data science or a machine learning background, but you don't know advanced math or so, what community is there for you? There's like digital marketing community or even some of these other business development communities and so on. So we want to build a community whereby you may not know how to code, but you're also able to build, right? The ideas guy used to be laughed at last time, and being that, hey, you're the ideas guy, you don't come in with anything. I'm the engineer, I'm the one who built the stuff. But this is where it says that the idea guy is the guy who comes up with the idea and they could also build it. That's what we're doing over here. And of course, we all come together and have these meetups offline as well.
Great. And I guess it democratizes in a way then the ideas guy in terms of the barrier to entry before was the technical skill set, whereas now with AI, it kind of enables them to be able to do that and have an MVP. What's in terms of then the people that are within the community in terms of building in public, kind of sharing their highlights, their wins, their learnings and so on. How do you see that, like in terms of your experience, but people in the community as well? Are they sharing publicly and building in public? If it's a B2B brand or any examples that you see like that?
Totally. I mean, it's something that I would definitely preach myself, whereby if you're building anything, sure, the whole buzzword before this was that, hey, I'm a startup founder, and what are you building? Oh, I'm building in stealth mode right now. Hey, that doesn't mean anything at all, right? But let's say that, hey, I'm a startup founder. Okay, cool. What are you building? I am building a subscription service for nutritional treats for dogs. Then the other person would be like, hey, I have a dog here, try that out or so, right? So it's something that we do encourage everybody within the community to basically share out in the public. Now, of course, there's always this fear. Whenever you start sharing in public, there's always this fear of, what if somebody else steals my idea? What if they laugh at my idea on how funny or how stupid it is? What if I put this out there and now people just sees me as the dog food guy? At the end of the day, if people don't know what you're working on, how are they supposed to help you? And of course, other people may copy your idea. But again, ideas are nothing without execution. So of course, we always start in a safe space, which is in the community first, the closed community. We share, hey, the things that you're working on, just share what you're doing, and then we'll see who can help out. And when you're ready, then you can share it out in public for other people to take a look at that as well.
Yeah. So in your case, then, what tips would you give to people like that are building something super cool, but maybe they have hesitations or reservations of sharing it in public, like the points that you mentioned in terms of this, they're afraid someone will steal their idea. Like, any key tips that you would give them in terms of to get started and that they can build momentum in terms of like getting the message out there and hopefully attracting either investors or clients or users as well.
Right. At the end of the day, it's really just about sharing the things that you do. I mean, when I started off sharing in public as well, the things that I learned or even things that I'm doing, at times I do feel cringe. I mean, like, what if people think about me this way? What if people think about me that way? And then I realized that it's really just a limiting belief because these people, these people may be out there, but they're not making themselves known or anything. So why should I be afraid of a shadow? Why should I be afraid of something that I couldn't see? The benefits of doing it in public definitely outweighs whatever perceived shortcomings that you would have.
Yeah.
Coming back to the community here, so we also have a dedicated projects channel whereby we open up, people get to share projects there, and for selected projects that they will want to share in public or they want to get more exposure on, we would help each other basically say cross promote or basically cross share these projects out there also. Because at the end of the day, the biggest value of a community is the community.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I read here as well about an MVP that you created recently about the public healthcare. You were saying that there was a problem, like a queue problem with public healthcare, and you basically created like an MVP in a very short space of time. But I'd be interested to see like what's your process for like identifying, say, pain points like that you can build MVPs normally. How do you go about that thought process normally?
I see. That project there was actually more of a hobby project, which I did in about 2.5 hours. So from time to time, there are these different build events that are going around where I also attend either as a participant or as a mentor, right? So from there, I meet different people. And of course, during that time, I met up with a doctor from the public healthcare system here in Malaysia. So of course, he was sharing the problem that public health clinics here in Malaysia, they don't do things like following appointments and so because, they all work first come, first serve. So I thought that, hey, is there a reason that you're not using appointments? And then he said that, hey, appointments because people just don't show up on time or they don't show up at all, even if there's one. Okay, cool. So let's come up with a solution for that. So the very first step in doing anything is to really just scope out the problem. So the problem here is that I don't know which is the best clinic for me to go to. If I go to clinic A, I may have to wait 2 hours. If I go to clinic B, I may have to wait half an hour for it. I don't know. There's no visibility around that at all. So I thought, why not we just build up a quick MVP here that basically judges based on the traffic that we have at a current clinic and based on your driving distance, what will be your estimated waiting time on this? Now, of course, we're operating without any sort of public clinic APIs or anything. So it's really just about guessing at which point is it that would have the most number of people. So we did that through Google Maps. There's a tool whereby you can see at which time of the day would your clinic have the most number of people. Just doing it based on that. So yeah, so basically we launched that. We launched it up very quickly. We built an MVP using Lovable. So Lovable is an AI building app. Add in some features and basically just pushed it out. Got feedback. And the key thing here, like I said, speed over perfection anytime. And the faster you get feedback, the more feedback you get, the more that you're able to refine your product. So to sum it up, every time a founder or an individual come to me being that, okay, I want to build up this project, you have this amazing idea I want to build. The first question that I've always asked them is, why does this project matter to you? Why do you feel strongly about this project? And things that if they're not able to give a concise answer to that, that means that they may not care about that project enough.
Yeah.
Because if they really care about that project enough, they'll be able to answer it with full of passion, full of information, data points and everything, and say, hey, this is something that I've put in my life's work into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think as well as like it has to be either a pain point or a passion project or something where there's like a connection to in order to persevere with it as well. Just a couple of follow-up questions then in terms of the particular B2B space. Like we spoke before and you mentioned like you're very bullish on B2B creators. Could you just share a little bit about that, like in terms of what you see specifically in Southeast Asia and how you see that in that region in particular?
Right. So what we are entering into right now, I would say it comes to a renaissance of the consumer influencer once again. Over the past 10, 15 years, we've kind of seen consumer startups kind of rise and fall, right? A lot of attention has been placed on B2B startups. Enterprises, they would make a lot more money. They have recurring revenue, and so and enterprises start spending a lot of money on your performance marketing ads or even on billboards, or basically these offline marketing channels and so on, right? But now in this age of builders, what's going on is that we see a lot of these consumer marketing apps coming up. I think one of the best examples of that would be Cal AI. This is this calorie tracker tool that we have. There's these other tools as well, such as an app that enables you to check your form when you're doing pull-up or push-ups, all these things coming with AI. And many of them are developed by solo founders or even a two-team or a two-member founding team. A lot of them, they don't have a lot of money to put onto cool meta ads, or they don't have money to put up big banners everywhere. So what do? They basically share what they did, how they created it, and of course, what impact is it made just doing it on their own. So B2B, the whole B2B creator space actually evolves from the whole build in public phenomena that has been around, say, for the last 4 years, but it has really accelerated at this point. And we've also seen right now, even large enterprises, large companies. One of the best examples of this would be HubSpot.
Yeah.
So for HubSpot, if you look at it, almost every single one of their senior management team are content influencers in their own right. So basically, they start sharing about the future of content. They start sharing about what things could be done better. They share about personal stories, about lessons they learned, and so on. Because how I see the trend going is that people would start buying more from a certain business if they feel that there is a human behind it. In this age of AI, I mean, like, what is human anymore, right? So when you go back to bringing that human coming back into it again, it also makes the brand a lot more trustworthy. Another great example, which I want to share here, is this company called storyHere. So storyHere was founded by Alex Lieberman, also the founder of Morning Brew newsletter. And he recently ran a challenge whereby for all 15 members of my team here, I'm going to run a LinkedIn challenge whereby you guys start posting content about yourself, 50% about yourself, 50% about the company. And the individual that has, say, the most impressions or the most reactions week gets like $5,000. Right. And what happened with this, the impact of this is that every single one of the team members from storyHere started become influencers themselves, B2B influencers, because they're also doing it under the umbrella of a company. And if you're asking me, do I see that is the future of marketing for business? Definitely. Yes, in this age of AI, you don't want to be talking to an AI. You don't want to be dealing with AI. You want to be dealing with human, and B2B creators are a vehicle for that to happen.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, a few weeks ago, we had David Walsh on from Limelight. It's a B2B marketplace, and he was mentioning something similar in terms of like the saturation now of paid ads, even in B2B, people bidding on keywords and so on. And it's not really reaching through or cutting through as much as it was many years ago. But what would you say, though, to companies maybe that are like, say, traditional B2B companies? They see there's an opportunity here. They see that there are ways to reach the audience, build trust, build brand affinity, but that they're maybe a little bit hesitant in terms of like kind of going in this direction. They don't know maybe how to take a first step, or they're just a bit hesitant in terms of how they build this into their marketing engine. What would you say to organizations like that?
Right. So there's two ways. There's two ways that you can attack from. The first one is that you attack it from the front, whereby it is led by the CEO. So the CEO or the leaders of the company would have, say, content calendar, where they would basically post stuff about their own personal self. They post stuff about the companies that they're doing. They post stuff even outside of work. So really building that human brand to it. Creating content itself, Again, I would say it's something that's not natural to a lot of people. But of course, the more you do it, it's like riding a bike. The more you do it, the better you become at it. The other point of attack is to basically start off with the people who are already most competent in that. And in most businesses, it's usually your Gen Zs, all right? So basically it's basically the youngest group who are actively out there on Twitter, who are actively tweeting on X out there already, who are actively, say, writing their thoughts online. So that could also be used as an anchor point, right? So get these, say, more junior or say more content savvy staff to basically get started with that first, get some momentum going, get some company resources behind it. And resources doesn't necessarily just mean money, right? Resources can simply mean that, hey, I have just posted this piece of content, sharing my Slack group. Guys, please go over and comment or like this piece of content over here. And when it starts gaining a little bit of momentum, what usually happens is that your senior management team would see, hey, this is working. This is meaning something. Let's get more people doing it. And it starts the ball rolling from there. Of course, the best option is to basically attack from both sides. You have the leadership side as well as, say, our more content savvy side, both at the same time.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. In terms of the future then, what are your predictions in relation to B2B creators, creator-led B2B content? Any predictions that you see over the next, say, 18 to 24 months?
Wow. I mean, we are growing. We're basically evolving so fast right now. Sorry. It's almost scary to think about it. But if I were to summarize, I would say that there's three things. The first one is that B2B content shared by individual would become one of the main engines of growth. Let's say if Google is rolling out a new AI tool, it will hold a much bigger weight if it's posted by or it's basically keynoted by Sundar Pichai, for example. CEO is basically out there writing his own. Satya Nadella from Microsoft is doing great with this. With every new release, he's the one that basically personally pens his own content there. That's one. And the second prediction I would see is that as creators become one of the main way of how companies distribute their own products or their own services, what we're going to see is that we're going to be seeing much more realistic AI creators coming on board. So that means that I'd be here talking to you, having this interview, talking about the product, talking about community I built, but I'm not even here. It could be that you're speaking to my AI avatar. And in fact, some companies are doing it right now, but it's not great. It's not great because when you look at it, that is AI. I'm not going to trust this company that well. But what we see with AI right now is that this is the worst that it could ever be. I mean, this is the worst it could ever be. It will only get better from there. And finally, of course, my third prediction with regards to B2B creators is that we would be seeing a flood of these AI-generated content, of AI-generated information online. People are even calling it AI slop, meaning that low-quality articles being put out on AI. This is where it comes back to how do you differentiate yourself? Is there a human aspect to you? Is this something that people can feel about you? So, when I advise people on what to share, what to post, I'll always sure, post about your products, post about service, post about what you do, but also share things which are more personal as well. If you have pets, talk about your pets. If you have kids, talk about your kids, talk about your favorite food, talk about where you like traveling, talk about where you and your wife last went for a honeymoon, all those kind of things. At the end of the day, it's making yourself much more humanized.
Yeah, no, that's great. Andre, thank you very much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
Likewise. Happy to be here.
Thanks.